Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going deep into the world of deepfakes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this stuff is just getting crazy.
Yeah.
And you've sent us some really fascinating articles and research on it all. And we're going to unpack it all, especially for our tech-savvy listeners over at the Before AGI podcast.
Yeah.
So get ready, because deepfakes are already having like a huge impact on our culture, politics, personal lives.
It really is like everywhere you look now.
It is.
And it's interesting because it sits right at that intersection of really advanced AI and potential for misuse.
Yeah.
We've got a range of sources here, including some insights from American University, CPI, OpenFox, and even how deepfakes are impacting our legal systems with the Mira digital integrity piece.
That's pretty wild. All right, so let's break this down a little bit before we get into all the crazy implications.
Right.
What exactly is a deepfake?
Yeah.
I know our listeners are pretty familiar with AI, but let's start with a clear definition.
Sure. So think of it as digital content.
Okay.
Could be video, audio, or even just a still image.
Okay.
That's been manipulated using AI to make someone appear to do or say something that they never actually did.
Right.
So the MIA, Digital Integrity Source, and CPI OpenFox both highlight this aspect of like fabricated reality.
Yeah.
It's like those fake swap apps.
Oh, yeah.
But with a whole lot more power and sophistication behind them.
Yeah. It's not just like, messing around on Snapchat anymore.
Right.
The American University article mentioned a deepfake video of Elon Musk promoting a cryptocurrency scam. Like, that's not just fun and games anymore.
Right.
That's straight up deception.
Yeah, and that's where that shallow fake distinction comes in that CPI OpenFox talks about.
Okay.
Shallow fakes are basically just clever edits.
Okay.
So like speeding up footage or splicing together different clips.
Okay.
Deepfakes actually use AI to generate this brand new content.
Wow.
Which makes them way more convincing and potentially dangerous.
Okay, so we're talking about AI actually creating content that never happened.
Right.
How does that even work?
Yeah.
I mean, our Before AGI listeners are pretty tech savvy.
Yeah, they are.
So feel free to get a little technical here.
Yeah, definitely. So it all starts with deep learning algorithms.
Okay.
Specifically, a concept called an autoencoder.
Okay.
The Exploring Deepfake Technology article really dives into that.
Okay.
Imagine you've got two sets of images.
Okay.
We'll call them face A and face B.
Okay.
An autoencoder takes these images and compresses them, extracting their key features.
Okay.
So it's like creating a digital blueprint of each face.
So the AI is like learning what makes each face unique.
Exactly. And then it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The autoencoder can then reconstruct those faces from the blueprints.
Okay.
But here's the trick. It can swap the blueprints.
Oh, wow.
So it can reconstruct face A using the blueprint from face B.
Interesting.
And vice versa.
So it's basically learning how to like morph one face into another. You got it.
I can see where this is going.
And this process is repeated millions of times.
Wow.
With the AI constantly refining its ability to seamlessly blend the characteristics of the two faces. Eventually, it becomes so good that it can create a video of face A realistically mimicking the expressions and movements of face B, making it appear as if face A is actually saying or doing something that they never did.
That's crazy and kind of scary.
It is.
The articles mentioned tools like face-to-face and face swap.
Yeah.
Are these like readily available for anyone to use?
Unfortunately, yes. Tools like these have made it much easier for people to create deepfakes. It's no longer limited to like high-tech labs or studios.
Right.
What used to require specialized knowledge and expensive equipment is now accessible to anyone with a computer and an internet connection.
Wow. That raises like a huge red flag for me.
Yeah.
If it's this easy to create these like really convincing fakes, how can we even tell what's real anymore?
That's the million-dollar question. How do we spot a deepfake?
Early deepfakes were a little easier to spot.
Okay.
The How Deepfakes Are Impacting article talked about things like unnatural eye movements.
Okay.
Like too much blinking or staring or blurriness around the face.
Yeah.
But as the technology gets more advanced,
Right.
those telltale signs are getting harder and harder to detect.
So it's like an arms race between the people creating the deepfakes and those trying to detect them.
Exactly. As detection methods get better, so do the deepfakes.
Right.
Deepfake creators learn from those detection methods,
Oh,
and they're constantly working to improve their techniques to stay one step ahead.
Oh, wow.
It's a constant battle,
Yeah.
and the stakes are only getting higher.
This is unsettling.
It is.
What's the real-world impact of all of this?
Yeah.
What should our Before AGI listeners be most concerned about when it comes to deepfakes?
The potential impact is massive.
Yeah.
And it's not just in the realm of science fiction anymore. We're already seeing deepfakes being used in harmful ways, and their potential to disrupt society is a growing concern.
So let's dive into some of those harms then.
Okay.
What are some of the biggest threats that deepfakes pose?
I think one of the most immediate threats is the potential for political manipulation.
Yeah.
Think about the chaos that could ensue if a deepfake video of a world leader declaring war were to go viral.
Yeah, the fake Zelensky video telling Ukrainian troops to surrender.
Exactly.
That was mentioned in both the American University and the CPI OpenFox articles.
Right.
That's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Even though it was quickly debunked.
Yeah.
It shows just how dangerous these fakes can be, especially in a time of conflict.
Exactly. And it's not just about foreign interference. Deepfakes could be used to undermine trust in elections, spread misinformation about candidates, or even incite violence.
It's like adding fuel to the fire of fake news and propaganda.
It is.
Which is already a huge problem.
Huge problem.
As the CPI OpenFox article highlighted, they even put a number on it.
They did.
$78 billion.
Yeah, $78 billion.
That's the estimated annual cost of fake news globally.
It's a staggering number.
It is.
And it's only going to get worse as deepfakes become more sophisticated and easier to create.
Right.
It's not just about spreading lies.
Right.
It's about creating a world where truth itself becomes increasingly difficult to discern.
That's a chilling thought.
It is.
It feels like deepfakes could erode our trust in everything we see and hear online.
Yeah.
And maybe even offline, too.
Yeah, and that erosion of trust is exactly what the American University article calls the liar's dividend.
Okay.
If anything can be faked, then nothing has to be real.
Right.
It's a recipe for skepticism, cynicism, and a breakdown of shared reality.
So it's not just about the individual lies that are being spread.
Right.
It's about the broader impact on our, collective sense of truth and reality.
Right. Precisely. And that's why it's so important to understand how deepfakes work, how to spot them, and what we can do to mitigate their potential harms.
This is already a lot to unpack.
It is.
We've covered what deepfakes are, how they're created, and some of the major threats that they pose.
Right.
Especially in the context of politics and misinformation. I think it's time to take a break.
Okay.
And then come back to explore some potential solutions.
Absolutely. In the next part, we'll delve into what's being done to combat deepfakes.
Okay.
From technological advancements to legislative efforts and the crucial role of education.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into deepfakes.
So it feels like we're facing this tsunami of misinformation.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine how we can possibly keep up.
Right.
Especially with deepfakes becoming more sophisticated and accessible every day.
It is. It's a challenge.
So what are some of the weapons in our arsenal to fight back?
Well, the good news is that there's a lot of work being done on multiple fronts.
Right.
We've got advancements in technology, legislative efforts to curb malicious use, and perhaps most importantly, a growing focus on education and awareness.
Let's start with the tech side of things.
Okay.
Are there any, promising solutions emerging from the world of AI and computer science?
Absolutely. Researchers around the world are working on increasingly sophisticated deepfake detection techniques.
So it's like AI versus AI.
It's a digital arms race, just like we discussed earlier.
Can you give us a sense of what that looks like?
Essentially, researchers are training algorithms on massive data sets of both real and fake videos.
Okay.
The How Are Deepfakes Dangerous article from the University of Nevada, Reno, really dives into this by analyzing thousands of examples.
Right.
These algorithms learn to identify subtle patterns and characteristics that distinguish deepfakes from authentic content.
So it's like training a digital bloodhound to sniff out the faintest scent of a fake.
That's a great analogy. And just like a bloodhound, these algorithms are getting better at detecting even the most cleverly disguised deepfakes.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
What are some of the key areas that these algorithms are focusing on?
One area is analyzing eye movements.
Okay.
It turns out that deepfakes often struggle to accurately replicate the subtle, involuntary movements of the human eye.
Interesting.
Things like blinking patterns, pupil dilation, and even the way light reflects off the cornea can provide clues.
I remember that from the How Deepfakes Are Impacting article.
Yeah.
Weird eye movements are a classic giveaway.
They are.
But you're saying that even as deepfakes improve visually, Those subtle eye movements are still a weak point.
Exactly. Researchers are developing algorithms that can zero in on those inconsistencies, flagging potential deepfakes with remarkable accuracy.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. What other techniques are being explored?
Another area of research is analyzing audio.
Okay.
Even in deepfake videos where the visuals are nearly perfect, the audio often contains subtle clues.
So it's like listening for a slight crack in the voice.
Yeah.
Even if the lips are moving perfectly.
That's a good way to think about it. Deepfakes often rely on synthesized speech, which can have a slightly robotic or unnatural quality.
Right.
Or even when using real audio, the synchronization with the video might be slightly off.
Okay, so it's like those old kung fu movies where the voice dubbing never quite lined up with the actor's lips.
Exactly.
Except in this case, the discrepancy is much more subtle and harder to detect.
Precisely. But just like with eye movements, researchers are developing algorithms that can analyze audio for those inconsistencies, providing another layer of defense against deepfakes.
This is starting to feel like a game of whack-a-mole.
It is.
As soon as we develop a detection method, the deepfake creators find a new way to outsmart us.
Right.
Is there any way to get ahead of this problem?
That's where content authentication comes in. Imagine a world where every photo or video is embedded with a digital signature. Kind of like an invisible watermark.
That verifies its authenticity.
Like a tamper-proof seal.
Yes.
That proves the content is genuine and hasn't been manipulated.
Exactly. And these digital signatures could be linked to blockchain technology, creating an immutable record of the content's origin and any modifications made to it.
Okay, so this blockchain element adds a whole new layer of security.
It does.
I can see how that would be a game changer in terms of verifying the authenticity of digital content.
Yeah.
Are there any platforms or companies already working on this kind of technology?
Absolutely. MIA, Digital Integrity, highlights one such platform, Mika Nexus. They're using blockchain technology to create a secure platform for managing digital evidence, ensuring that it hasn't been tampered with.
So they're applying this technology to like high-stakes areas, like law enforcement and legal proceedings.
Precisely. And if these kinds of content authentication methods become more widespread, they could significantly reduce the impact of deepfakes, making it much harder for them to spread unnoticed. This is really promising stuff.
It is.
But it seems like technology alone might not be enough.
You're right. Technology is only part of the solution.
Right.
We need a multi-pronged approach, and that includes legislation.
Okay, so what about the legal and regulatory side of things?
Yeah.
Are there any efforts to create laws specifically targeting the malicious use of deepfakes?
There's a growing recognition among lawmakers around the world that deepfakes pose a significant threat. And we're starting to see some efforts to address this through legislation.
What are some of the key challenges in regulating deepfakes?
One of the biggest challenges is balancing the need to protect people from harm with the right to free speech. Deepfakes can be used for malicious purposes, but they also have legitimate applications in entertainment, education, and other fields.
That's a tough needle to thread.
It is.
We don't want to stifle creativity or innovation. But we also can't just stand by and let deepfakes be used to harm individuals or undermine democratic processes.
Exactly. And the technology is evolving so rapidly that it's difficult for lawmakers to keep up. Any laws passed today might be outdated tomorrow.
So it's not just about writing new laws. It's about creating a regulatory framework that can adapt to the ever-changing landscape of deepfake technology.
Precisely. And that requires ongoing dialogue and collaboration between lawmakers, technologists, and the public.
It sounds like a complex and evolving challenge.
It is.
But alongside technology and legislation, there's another crucial element in the fight against deepfakes: education.
You're absolutely right. We can't just rely on technology and laws to solve this problem. We need to empower individuals to become more discerning consumers of digital content.
So it's about developing a kind of deepfake literacy.
Exactly. We need to teach people how deepfakes are made, what to look for, and how to verify information from multiple sources.
The MIA, Digital Integrity Source, emphasizes this,
Yes.
They talk about the importance of educating the public.
Especially
as deepfake apps become more user-friendly and accessible.
And the Deepfakes Are Impacting article uses a great example, the Cradle Shift Face video of Bill Hader morphing into Tom Cruise. It shows how raising awareness can be both entertaining and informative.
That's a great point. We need to make learning about deepfakes engaging and accessible, not just a dry technical lecture.
Absolutely. It's about equipping people with the critical thinking skills they need to navigate this increasingly complex digital landscape.
So it's a combination of technological advancements, smart legislation, and widespread education.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted challenge that requires a multifaceted solution.
Right.
And it's going to take a collective effort to ensure that deepfakes don't erode our trust in the digital world.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of deepfakes, from the technical nuts and bolts to the very real threats they pose. Now, in this final part, I want to step back and look at the bigger picture. What are the deeper implications of this technology for society, for our understanding of truth, and even for our own sense of self?
It's a fascinating question, and somewhat unsettling. Deepfakes are not just a technological problem.
Right.
They represent a fundamental challenge to our understanding of reality itself.
That's a pretty profound statement. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. What do you mean by a challenge to our understanding of reality?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Well, for most of human history, we've relied on our senses to tell us what's real.
Right.
We see something with our own eyes, hear it with our own ears, and we believe it to be true.
Seeing is believing.
Exactly. But deepfakes are disrupting that fundamental relationship between perception and reality.
It's like that old saying, seeing is believing no longer applies.
Exactly. Deepfakes can create these convincing forgeries of reality that are virtually indistinguishable from the real thing.
Right.
And as the technology advances, that line between real and fake is going to become increasingly blurred.
So what does that mean for us as individuals and as a society?
Yeah.
What are the potential consequences of living in a world where we can't trust our own senses?
I think one of the most immediate concerns is the erosion of trust.
Okay.
If we can't be sure what's real and what's fake, it becomes incredibly difficult to trust anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's news reports, video evidence, or even personal testimonies.
And that erosion of trust can have like a ripple effect across all aspects of society.
Absolutely. It can undermine faith in institutions, erode public discourse, and make it even harder to address complex challenges like climate change or political polarization, where agreement on basic facts is essential for progress.
It feels like deepfakes are like weaponizing doubt and uncertainty, making it easier to dismiss inconvenient truths or spread conspiracy theories.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to develop critical thinking skills and media literacy.
Yeah.
We need to be able to evaluate information from multiple sources, consider potential biases, and look for evidence to support or refute claims, especially when they seem sensational or too good to be true.
It's like we all need to become like digital detectives, constantly scrutinizing the information we encounter online.
In a way, yes. But it's not just about being skeptical.
Yeah.
It's also about being aware of our own vulnerabilities.
Right.
Deepfakes can exploit our cognitive biases and emotional triggers, making us more susceptible to manipulation.
Can you give us an example of how that might work?
Sure. Imagine a deepfake video designed to stoke fear or anger.
Okay.
Perhaps showing a political rival making offensive remarks or engaging in unethical behavior.
Right.
Even if we know deepfakes exist, our emotional reactions can override our rational judgment.
Right.
Making us more likely to believe what we see, even if it's fabricated.
So it's not just about fooling our eyes and ears.
Right.
It's about like hacking our minds, exploiting our emotional vulnerabilities to influence our beliefs and behaviors.
That's a good way to put it, and that's why it's so important to be aware of those vulnerabilities and develop strategies for managing our emotional responses to information, especially online.
This is all pretty heavy stuff.
It is.
It's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom scenarios.
Yes.
But are there any potential positive applications of deepfake technology?
Absolutely. While the potential for misuse is undeniable, deepfakes also offer some exciting possibilities.
Okay, give us some reasons to be optimistic. What are some of the potential benefits?
One area is entertainment. Deepfakes are already being used in movies and TV shows for special effects, allowing filmmakers to recreate historical figures or de-age actors.
I remember seeing that deepfake of a young Robert De Niro in The Irishman.
Yes.
It was incredibly realistic.
Exactly. And as the technology improves, we can expect to see even more innovative uses of deepfakes in storytelling and entertainment.
What about other fields?
Yeah.
Are there any potential applications in areas like education or healthcare?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In education, imagine using deepfakes to create interactive lessons with historical figures, bringing history to life in a way that textbooks simply can't.
That's fascinating. It's like having a virtual time machine that allows students to interact with historical figures in a realistic and engaging way.
Precisely. And in healthcare, deepfakes could be used to create personalized training simulations for medical professionals, allowing them to practice procedures in a safe and controlled environment.
So while deepfakes present very real challenges, they also offer some intriguing possibilities for innovation and progress. It seems like the key is to harness the power of this technology for good, while mitigating the potential harms.
I completely agree. The technology itself is not inherently good or bad. It's how we choose to use it that matters. And that's why these conversations are so important.
Right.
We need to be aware of both the opportunities and the risks and work together to ensure that deepfakes are used responsibly and ethically.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of deepfakes. Thanks for joining me on this journey.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope our listeners will continue to explore this fascinating and rapidly evolving field.
If you're intrigued by this topic and want to learn more about AI and its impact, be sure to subscribe to the Before AGI podcast.
And for even more insights and tutorials on AI, check out my YouTube channel, Ian Ochieng AI. I can't wait to see you there.
That's a wrap on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.